Welcome to inspireWord, everyone. It's Saturday, and we have a really special guest today. Abby Johnson is going to be joining us. First, we want to thank Catholic Order of Foresters and Solidarity Health Share for being the continued support to bringing inspirational messages like this. Abby is going to be inviting us into her home, and we're going to talk with her in a little bit. Beforehand, please make sure that you share inspireword.com, where this conversation with Abby is going to be posted, as well as many other pro-life and Catholic leaders are on there as well, that you can enjoy their conversations. Also, we'll be posting all the links for Abby's websites, her foundation, including And Then There Were None, as well as Unplanned and many other things, so you can have those resources as well. So without further ado, we're going to welcome in Abby Johnson to inspireWord. Abby, thank you so much for allowing us to come into your house and crash your place on Saturday.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, listen, we know among many things about you with your book, your movie, but let's start with the most important stuff. You're a mother. How many kids now, and how has quarantine been going for you?
Yeah, I have 8, and you'll be able to hear them behind me because they'll
Great.
be trying to bust into my office.
They do.
Yeah, it's going to be very real. You're going to hear a lot of life on this interview. So, no, it's been fine. We're in Texas, so it's nice and sunny and warm here. So, we spend about, 75% of our day outside, and it's been okay. It's been fine. We're doing the quarantine schooling, and we're making it. We're making a lot of good memories, and it's been fun.
What has it taught you with being hunkered down with the family like this? Is there any kind of advice or things you've learned that you can share with other mothers that are probably going the exact same thing that you're dealing with?
I can tell you, we're ready for freedom, right? And I think it's okay to say that. I think, I see a lot of moms, I think especially Catholic moms, who are this is just giving us a chance to grow in holiness. And they're giving the good Catholic answers. I think it's perfectly fine to say I'm smelling freedom and it smells really good. I think it's perfectly fine to say yeah, we're ready to bust out of here. I think it's okay to talk about your holiness and sanctification, but to also be really honest and say, I am ready to get out of here.
Right.
I love my kids, but I love pedicures and manicures too. So I'm ready to have a moment without them,
Right.
Ready to have some mom time. So,
oh, well, you probably earned it. My cousin's wife, it kind of reminds me a little bit. She's absolutely hilarious. And she posted something to the family. And it was just a simple sign that said, turns out I don't like my kids as much as I thought I did. Of course, she's kidding, of course. But it was just kind of, Abby, we've joined all kinds of networks. I mean, now that we've had all these inspirational conversations with probably 15 plus pro-life Catholic public leaders like yourself, there's people from all over the gamut that started following us. And for the few that may not be as familiar with you as the rest, would you mind just kind of doing a quick high-level overview of how you came to be in the position you're at today, and then maybe mention a little bit about your foundation, And Then There Were None, and what the inspiration is behind that and what the purpose of it is?
Yeah, so I worked at Planned Parenthood, our country's largest abortion provider, for 8 years of my life. Got involved there as a college student, rose up in the ranks, eventually was the clinic director there at my facility in Bryan, College Station, Texas, which is part of the Planned Parenthood Houston affiliate, which is the third largest affiliate in the United States. I ended up leaving in October of 2009 after witnessing a live ultrasound-guided abortion procedure where I saw a 13-week-old baby fight and struggle for his life and ultimately lose his life at the hands of an abortion doctor. I decided then that I could no longer participate in abortion, so I ended up leaving Planned Parenthood. I joined the pro-life movement. When Planned Parenthood found out that I was no longer a part of the pro-choice community, they decided to take me to court. They attempted to silence me through a gag order through the courts. that failed. But when they took me to court, the national media picked up on that. That propelled me sort of into the media spotlight nationally. That then sort of caused me to write my first book, Unplanned, which became a national bestseller. And then a few years after that, I wrote my second book, The Walls Are Talking. Then was approached by movie directors to turn my first book, Unplanned, into a major motion picture, which we did. That was released about a year ago, March 29th of 2019. That was just a smashing success here in the United States, and internationally is still being circulated internationally. And in 2012, I ended up starting the organization, and then there were none. Our goal is to reach into abortion clinics and pull their workers out and get them into a path of healing and into a relationship with Christ so that they can find healing, forgiveness. And many of the people that we help are actually Catholic. And so we want to get them back into the sacraments and back into their faith.
That's amazing. Going back, I want to talk about that, but going back to the movie, what's the aftermath been like? I personally got to see it when it was pre-screening at the March for Life a year back. What's the aftermath been like for you? And, this whole conversation series about inspiration. So is there a story that may stick out to you that has happened since that movie's come out that touched you or with someone's life or that you heard about or anything in that nature?
Yeah, honestly, there's been so many. It ran in the theater for 14 weeks. During those 14 weeks, every day I was waking up with, messages, email messages, messages on Instagram and, all over social media, people telling me, just story after story, people going into the film pro-choice, walking out pro-life, people sharing stories about how they were contemplating abortion. They watched Unplanned and now they were choosing life for their babies.
Wow.
There was one story in particular, though, of a young girl who went in to watch the film with her youth group. She was 15 years old. She had found out that she was pregnant. And she had planned to have an abortion. She had made an appointment to have an abortion, but her youth group, they were going to have a movie night, and she didn't even know what the movie was, but she had signed up, to go with her youth group. And so she went, and they were watching Unplanned, and they went to the film and watched the film, and she got done and she went to her youth pastor and said, I'm pregnant and I'm planning on having an abortion. I just don't think I can do it after watching this film. So she and the youth pastor went to go talk to her parents, which her parents were like, absolutely not. We don't want you to have an abortion. She ended up having her babies and she had twins.
Wow.
And so it was an incredible story. I also met a couple. This was sort of funny. I met a couple after the movie was over. This man stood up, and this sort of happened a lot. I was hearing that this was happening a lot, but this man, he stood up and he just sort of made this call to action to everybody in the theater. It was a packed theater, and he just stood up and he said, we have got to do something. I don't know what we've got to do, but we as a community have got to do something. And there was a woman sitting in the crowd, and she just, when he was done sort of giving his speech, everybody was applauding and they were all getting together. And what are we going to do? And so she stood up and she goes and talks to this guy. And it ended up that they were both single. They had never been married. They were in their 40s, and they got married 6 months later. And so I was like, it was an unplanned wedding. It was amazing. So God was doing all kinds of really awesome stuff through this film. So
that's unbelievable. Please tell me they invited you to the wedding.
They didn't. I was like, come on. I should have been there.
Well, they better see this. And that's unbelievable, really. That you can't make that stuff up,
I know.
Maybe that'll be part of the sequel.
Yeah, really.
But I tell you, when I saw Unplanned, which my quote in my mind walking out of that was, it it's a movie that tells both sides completely true. So whatever side you are on abortion, that movie isn't a rah-rah for either side. It literally, anybody should watch it. It truly tells both sides, and it tells the truth of both sides. And that's what you experienced in your life. And it really came across that way, which I thought was one of the many geniuses behind that movie. And one of my favorite movies is Braveheart. And I didn't even tear up during that. And yours made me tear up. So kudos to you and your story, and continuing to inspire people. There's a text question that just came through from a Jeremy in Idaho, and he wants to know. It's kind of a left field. The questions will come in. It'll be left field. This is where it'll get fun. He wants to know if you were ever truly scared when being challenged or threatened, in quotations, by Planned Parenthood, the giant.
When I first left, when I was first sued by Planned Parenthood, there was I can say that there was a fear of just sort of the unknown. I was so naive. I mean, when I left Planned Parenthood, when I found out they were suing me, I was so surprised. I mean, I was just so dumb and naive. I mean, I thought, what? They're suing me. I mean, these are my friends. Why would they sue me? I mean, and so what? Okay, I don't believe in abortion anymore. Why is that a problem for them? I mean, why don't they respect my choice? I mean, I was I was so flabbergasted by the lawsuit, and then I thought, what? I don't have money for an attorney. I just left my job, I was amazed that these people who I had seen as my enemy for 8 years, these pro-life people, were so ready and willing to step up. My attorney, Jeff Paradowski, I mean, he didn't charge me a dime.
Wow.
And I thought, why would he do that for me? I mean, we're not friends. I mean, I've been his opponent. Why would he do that for me? But there was just this goodwill coming from these people because they didn't have any reason to believe me. They didn't have any reason to believe that my story was authentic or that my story was true, but they just did. And they just took it at face value, and they just believed me. And that was really beautiful.
Yeah.
That was really just, it was a beautiful representation of just God's grace and his mercy here, in earthly form. And so, I mean, I don't know if scared was the right word, but I just couldn't believe it. I was just flabbergasted. And I was worried. I couldn't figure out why, like taking me to court. That seemed so extreme.
Yes.
Because I had been a good employee.
Right.
And I thought, and then I kept thinking, like, what did I do? What do they have on me? That was, and up until, I mean, seriously, this wasn't in the movie, but up until the second that we sat down in the courtroom, my attorney, Jeff, kept saying, what have you not told me? Right. What have you not told me? And I just kept looking at him and saying, nothing. There is nothing. I mean, I was a great employee for them. I was their employee of the year. Like, there's nothing. And I would stay up at night just racking my brain. What is it? Like, what is this lawsuit about? What have I not told them? And that was making me nervous.
Right.
Because I thought, have they made something up? Like, is there something I don't remember? I couldn't remember. I didn't know. And then when the case actually was, laid out and it was all just nothing, I was so relieved. But then I realized that it was just a fear tactic, and they were trying to make an example out of me, and that I really didn't have anything to fear because I was living in truth now. And, I kept remembering this Bible verse that my mom, had told me over and over again as I was growing up, that, God did not give us a spirit of fear and timidity, that, we are given a spirit of strength, a spirit of courage. And as long as I'm living in God's truth, I don't have to live in fear.
Right.
And
Right.
that has been the verse really that I have just prayed over my life, my own life and the life of my family since I've left that life, since I've left Planned Parenthood.
Well, Abby, that's such great, well said. And the whole point again of this whole series is for inspiration, and for someone like yourself that's been through all these experiences on the most public level, right? People are right now faced with challenges they weren't expecting. Hopefully, we'll be out of this coronavirus lockdown soon. But could you share like that Bible verse and maybe some other prayers, or what helped get you through when these out of left field punches started hitting you like that? And what would you say to the folks watching that that just happened to them with the coronavirus? For lockdown, people are losing jobs, they're up against challenges they never imagined. What would you have? What would be your words of advice to these families?
I believe that that we always have to have hope. We always have to have great hope. I believe that God does give us a spirit of strength. But I also believe that it's okay to have a moment where we break down.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
it's okay to have a moment of brokenness. God works through our brokenness. It's okay to say, God, I don't know what's going on here, and I am lost and I don't know what is going on. And I'm just completely surrendering myself to you right now. That's okay. Um, God doesn't want us to live in that place. My husband actually just, okay, I love tacos. Like everybody that knows me knows that like tacos are my thing, right?
It's Austin, Texas, right?
Yeah. And my husband just read something today and he said, it's okay to fall apart. Tacos fall apart and we still love them. And that's true. We do.
Right.
So it's okay to fall apart. It's okay to fall apart sometimes.
Yeah.
But God wants to help us piece ourselves back together and to find that strength that we can only find through him.
Right.
And to find that hope and to continue to move forward. And sometimes moving forward is moving forward at a very slow pace. And that's okay, as long as we're continuing to move forward.
Right, exactly. And we're talking, for all those that are joining, we see more and more people pouring in. We're talking with Abby Johnson today. Abby is an author, has had a movie made after her, Unplanned the book, Unplanned the movie. We'll be posting her links to her conversation piece on inspireWord.com. Please go to inspireWord.com and sign up for our mailing list to see conversations like this and many others. Tomorrow we have Paul Kim at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Please join us for that. Abby, we have another question for you in regards to your speaking. How has this affected your speaking? Obviously, we all know that it's not a great time to be in the public event space right now. But when are you planning to go back out and to speak this year? And what does that look like for you?
Yeah, this has greatly affected my speaking schedule. So all of my speaking events in April, May, those were all canceled. I guess really yeah. Actually they everything after March 14th canceled. So mid-March, April, May, all of June is canceled. We're waiting to see what will happen July going forward. I mean, I don't know if you want the honest answer.
You're known for being honest, which is one of the many things we love about you. But I think that is what it is. In a Catholic Speakers, we've had the opportunity and the fortune to be able to work with you over the years, and events have just been canceled left and right.
It's been hard.
Yeah.
It's been hard. I mean, we're a family of 10. Right now, we're a family of 13 because we've taken in a single mom with a child, and we've taken in a teenager who currently lives with us.
Wow.
That was in a difficult situation. So we're a family of 13. Um, and with my events canceling, that means that our income was canceled. So it's been and uh, I don't have income that comes in regularly from my ministries because I just
Right.
hire other people.
Mhm.
And so I generally don't have to because my income comes from my speaking events. So
Right.
it's been a challenge. It's been a challenging season. But you know what? God is getting us through it, and we're making it work,
Yeah.
and he provides for us and takes care of us, and we've been getting creative. And Doug and it was funny actually. Doug and I both signed up to do Shipped, where you like you shop for groceries for people and like deliver groceries.
Wow. That's
and and so it was so funny. Like I was doing a Shipped shop the other day, and delivered to this woman, and she's like, I like deliver groceries, and she's like, are you Abby Johnson?
I was hoping that's where you were going. I was like, please tell me someone.
and
Wow.
I
Two
and I was
gifts
like,
in
yeah.
one.
And she's like, why are you delivering my groceries?
Well, that's such an awesome story, Ed, because it's real, and you guys, there's so many Americans out there that are just trying to fight to get through this, and they put their families first and doing everything they can, just like you're doing. So, we're not going to stop promoting. In fact, right when we get off here, I'm going to put an email out to my staff at CatholicSpeakers.com and send out a huge email, reminding people of all the great pro-life leaders like you, especially, and remind them, hey, we need to get these people booked and get their messages out there. I see the comments pouring in on people thanking you for the movie, your book, and how great of a speaker you are, that people have seen you. So, it's been great. We're coming down to the end of the half hour here, Abby. I want to talk to you about anything you feel called to give, the audience today when it comes to inspiration. You know what it's like to overcome a lot of the situations where there's no light, it seems like, at the end of the tunnel. Anything that before last couple of questions, anything you want to talk about or feel called to share about that, being that you've been through that, right? You've been through many challenges, many times. Would you discuss today that you're like, wow, where is this headed? How is God going to get me through this? That type of thing. And, as folks are looking and grasping anywhere they can to get some inspiration.
You know what? I just feel like, the Bible talks about how God uses all things for good.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that. I mean, everywhere around me, like even now. I mean, I've been in my free time, every chance I get, I've been going and I've been volunteering at my local pregnancy resource center. And these and in Texas we had a ban on abortion, and because of the coronavirus, and there have been so many lives that have been saved because of that. And so there's so much confusion around the virus, and there's been so much fear, and yet I recognize that there are going to be so many babies lives that have been spared because of this. And so I just think to the future, like, how many little squishy baby faces we're going to get to see because of this. And so I just see like how God truly, like, even in the midst of like fear and confusion, he's still doing his work. And that blesses me so much. Like, that blesses my heart so much, is that we really don't have anything to fear. We
Right.
really don't need to live in a state of fear, because either God is sovereign or he's not. And I believe in the sovereignty of God. All of us as Christians, all of us as Catholics should believe in the sovereignty of God. And either he's in control or he's not. And God is in control right now. And so we don't have to walk around living in this perpetual state of fear. because he is in control and he is working all things for good. And that should encourage us tremendously during this time of confusion and chaos.
Right, right. Well said. And Abby, with that, as being one of the forefront leaders of the pro-life world, with inspiration from that end, what is your hope? Like, what would be your ultimate dream? Obviously, to end abortion, but with what you founded and everything you poured your life into, and you just threw it up to God, and He's gotten you through all these hard times, whether it's been with dealing with Planned Parenthood to everything else, or right now the coronavirus. What is your ultimate dream? Would you like to see that would come out of all these efforts that you've poured into with your foundation, the movie, the book, everything else?
My ultimate dream really is that we become a society where abortion becomes unthinkable. And, how do we do that? Well, we do that by showing mercy to those around us. And we do that by doing mercy, by, living out this gospel of accompaniment with people around us, that people don't feel like they have to do life alone. Because we're not meant to do life alone. And that's what really drives people to have abortions. That's what drives people to live in this state of desperation. That's what drives people to commit suicide. That's what drives people into places of mental health despair, right? That's what cures society, is walking alongside of people, accompanying them. And that's really my goal. That's my vision. And I believe that that's what Christ wants, is that we live mercy, that we do mercy, that we live with one another.
Abby, thank you so much for sharing with us your insight, your thoughts, your inspiration, inviting us into your home on a Saturday. I was hoping some of the kids would bust in, but I guess we'll have to wait till next time. Really, though, thank you for all that you're doing. You are on the front lines, taking the bullets. Again, as we see people commenting, it's just thank you for your work. God bless you so much, and we really appreciate you being on inspireWord, and we hope to have you on again soon.
Of course. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. We'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.